Today's news highlights. Date February 14, 2025. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump ordered a review of the unequal measures taken by trading partners toward the United States and reintroduced tariffs on chips. He said that if companies set up factories in the United States, they can be exempt from taxes, and named Taiwan to steal American business, hoping to bring the semiconductor industry back to the United States, otherwise he will express dissatisfaction. He stressed that the United States, which once had powerful companies such as Intel, should restore its industrial competitiveness and ensure fair trade. News highlights: an air explosion occurred in Shinkong Mitsukoshi in Taichung yesterday morning, killing 4 and injuring 31. It was preliminarily determined that it was caused by workers cutting the gas pipeline, but the details are still to be clarified. The city government ordered the indefinite closure of the business and will issue fines totaling 1.2 million yuan. Shinkong Mitsukoshi pledged to fully cooperate with the investigation and distribute condolences to the families of the victims. President Lai Ching-te instructed medical assistance, and the executive yuan demanded that the cause of the accident be investigated as soon as possible. The performance of the department store ranked first in Taiwan, and the accident shocked the society, and the follow-up development attracted attention. News highlights: during the Taiwan-South Korea International Exchange Tournament, the South Korean media Sports Korea reported that the Taiwanese media were disrespectful to the questions of Lotte giant pitcher Park Se-woong, but the actual situation was different from the content of the report. The original question asked by Taiwanese media was, "Have you ever faced Taiwan in an international competition? What do you think of Taiwanese players?" The delay due to the confirmation of the interpreter's communication is not a rude question. Park Shik-chung responded with a smile to the many encounters in the past, saying that the Taiwan team is strong. The interview process was harmonious, and there were no embarrassing scenes described by the Korean media, and the content of the report was inaccurate. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump has ordered a plan for reciprocal tariffs that would impose the same tariffs on countries that tax the U.S., potentially exacerbating the global trade war. The measure will cover China, Japan, South Korea, and the European Union, and consider taxing automobiles, semiconductors, and pharmaceuticals. The Trump administration expects to complete the plan on April 1. Taiwan's President Lai Ching-te convened a national security meeting today to formulate a response strategy and strengthen cooperation with the United States in the semiconductor and high-tech industries to reduce the impact and seek opportunities. News highlights: this year, the housing market has shown a divergent trend of high pre-sales and weak second-hand sales. In the pre-sale market, prices continue to be high due to the support of land costs in asset groups, and developers maintain buying gas through the strategy of volume reduction and price stabilization. The second-hand market is affected by selling and financial pressure, and there may be a 10 to 15% retracement correction. Investors have withdrawn one after another, and most of the self-residents choose to hold, and some of them are resold due to financial problems. Flat turning and urgent sale are frequent, and buyers need to evaluate carefully to avoid taking orders at high prices. This year's housing market trend is still affected by funds and policies, and should be carefully arranged. News highlights: a serious gas explosion occurred yesterday morning in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi, affecting a family of 7 from Macau who came to Taiwan for independent travel, resulting in 2 deaths, 1 serious injury and 3 minor injuries. The 56-year-old grandfather surnamed Deng died on the spot, the 58-year-old grandmother surnamed Liu was sent to the hospital for treatment, and the 2-year-old granddaughter was seriously injured and intubated for rescue, but fortunately she was rescued. Other family members were injured and sent to the hospital for treatment. The Macau SAR government has activated the Emergency Response Center, and the Mainland Affairs Council has also dispatched staff to assist in handling follow-up matters. The family who was originally scheduled to return to Macau was suddenly regretted, and all sectors of the community expressed deep sorrow. News highlights: when many novices invest in ETFs, they will first choose stable targets, such as 0050, 006208, 00878, 0056, etc., and diversify their risks through regular quotas. Some netizens asked about ways to learn ETFs on card, and got many suggestions, including watching investment channels, reading financial books, or starting with a simple index ETF. Many people believe that holding 0050 or 006208 for a long time can increase in value steadily, which is suitable for inexperienced people as an introductory investment method. News highlights: an air explosion occurred in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 26 injuries. The accident occurred on the 12th floor, and the explosion was so powerful that it damaged the building and scattered debris on the street. The city has asked department stores to close indefinitely and set up a disaster response center. The fire department initially determined that the gas explosion occurred, but the detailed cause is still under investigation. President Lai Ching-te instructed all-out rescue efforts, and the operators promised to take responsibility. Governments in many places have initiated inspections to prevent similar incidents. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump recently spoke with Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky to discuss the war in Ukraine and emphasize that both sides want peace. Trump said he would meet with Putin, possibly in Saudi Arabia. Trump believes that Ukraine's accession to NATO is unrealistic and unlikely to regain all lost ground. The U.S. Secretary of Defense also noted that seeking Ukraine's return to its pre-2014 borders would prolong the war and cause more suffering. European countries said that negotiations on the fate of Ukraine in the future must be fair, stressing that security guarantees are essential for lasting peace. News highlights: hoarding tax 2.0 will be levied in May, and the national benchmark for the present value of single-owner occupied houses in Liudo has been announced, and Taipei City can enjoy a preferential tax rate of 1% for less than 2,842,000 yuan. If the current value of the house is lower than the benchmark and meets the conditions of self-occupation and no rental, the preferential tax rate can be applied. The Ministry of Finance estimates that about 3.125 million households can enjoy the 1% tax rate, and reminds the public to complete household registration before March 24 to continue to apply the owner occupancy tax rate. News highlights: a gas explosion occurred in the food street on the 12th floor of Shinkong Mitsukoshi Taichung store yesterday, 13, killing 4 people and injuring 31 others. Mayor Liu Ziyuan ordered the store to close indefinitely and instructed to check security. Preliminary investigation revealed that workers were cutting gas lines and causing an air explosion. If the city government does not receive the construction application, it will impose a fine of up to 300,000 yuan. After the accident, General Manager Wu Xinjiang said that he was shocked and would fully cooperate with the investigation and provide condolences to the families of the victims. The Executive Yuan and the Ministry of Health and Welfare have also actively deployed resources to assist the injured. News highlights: the U.S. Producer Price Index, PPI, in January beat expectations, rising 0.4% M/M and 3.5% Y/Y, and the increase in December was revised upward to 0.5%, indicating that inflationary pressures remain. Core PPI rose 0.3% month-on-month and 3.6% year-on-year. There was a slight decrease in the number of applications for unemployment benefits, indicating that the labor market remained relatively stable. Economists warn that while the risk of a recession is low in the near term, the risk of stagnation inflation in the light version increases, possibly accompanied by low growth and inflation above 3%, and forecasts GDP growth to be less than 2%. News highlights: in March this year, Changhua Post will openly select 1,113 full-time and 507 standby staff, with vacancies including legal, finance, counter business, etc., with a starting salary of up to about $55,000. Registration is open from March 13 to 26, with a written test scheduled for May 4, and an oral and physical fitness test in June. Positions are divided into various categories, including operational, professional, internal and external, legal and finance. The main purpose of this selection is to fill vacancies in anticipation of retirement, and the recruitment of candidates is not restricted by the Public Service Act. News highlights: under the mediation of U.S. President Trump, the Russia-Ukraine war is expected to end, and the world will usher in a 20 trillion yuan reconstruction business opportunity, and the stocks of 6 major groups, including steel, plastics, cables, glass, cement and bulk shipping, have risen sharply. Steel stocks, especially Sino Steel, benefited from the surge in demand after the end of the U.S. tariffs and the end of Russia-Ukraine, which led to a sharp rise in steel stocks as a whole. The rise in copper prices is good for the cable industry, while the glass ceramics industry has benefited from rising demand. The cement industry has also been boosted by the demand for reconstruction in Russia and Ukraine, and related companies such as Taiwan Cement Corporation will benefit. News highlights: the chief executive of Macau, Shunhou Fai, paid close attention to the Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi gas explosion incident and expressed his deep condolences to the families of the deceased in Macau. The incident resulted in 4 deaths and 31 injuries, including 7 Macau residents, 2 deaths and 5 injuries. The Macau authorities have dispatched a tourism crisis assistance team and the Red Cross to Taiwan to assist the families of the deceased and the injured. News highlights: the Taiwan team defeated the Lodi Giants 7-3 in the second game of the Taiwan-Korea exchange match, winning both games. In the game, Lin Jiaoyi hit a home run on the 8th innings to help the Taiwan team open the score. Although Taiwan's central line performance did not meet expectations, head coach Zhang Hezhu emphasized the importance of key hits. Compared with the negative evaluation after South Korea's loss in the past, this time Korean netizens mostly said that it is very powerful to lose only 1 point to the top 12 champions, showing that Taiwan's baseball strength is gradually recognized. News highlights: the firefight between Zhang Lan and SS Mother continues to attract attention. SS Mother's going to war remarks were interpreted as preparing to face Wang Xiaofei's family, while Zhang Lan's response of preparing ammunition seemed to indicate that she would not back down. The family dispute has transcended the private sphere and has sparked a wave of public opinion on the internet, with supporters on both sides speaking out and even making the incident more dramatic. News highlights: the United States BIS announced the latest semiconductor whitelist. MediaTek and Realtek are exempt from IW qualifications, and Taiwan IC design factories must apply for authorization qualifications before 2026. Chinese IC designers are not qualified by IW, and chips below 16 nm need to be approved by the United States before they can be packaged, resulting in orders shifting to Taiwan's packaging and testing plants. ASE and PTI have benefited from short-term performance growth, but they must strictly abide by U.S. regulations. This policy further strengthens the U.S. control over the high-end chip supply chain, and China may accelerate the development of local packaging technology, and Taiwanese manufacturers need to actively respond to it to maintain competitiveness. News highlights: ASE Investment Holding is sprinting to the advanced packaging and testing market, and will enter the harvest period this year, and the related performance is expected to grow by $1 billion, driving up revenue and profit, and continuing to grow until 2027. The company's capital expenditure this year is a record high of $2 billion. In the first quarter, the packaging and testing and EMS business decreased by 11-13% quarter-on-quarter, but the demand recovery in the second half of the year is expected. ASE does not consider setting up factories in the United States for the time being, and gives priority to the development of Taiwan's advantages. This year's advanced packaging and testing revenue is expected to reach $1.6 billion, driving the gross profit margin to rise to 24-26%, and the estimated performance of the legal person will double compared with last year. News highlights: SMIC announced Q4 2024 revenue of $2.207 billion, an annual increase of 32%, but a net profit of $108 million, a year-on-year decrease of 38%. Tech Insights warns of mainland semiconductor overcapacity, and analysts at Counterpoint Research believe that geopolitical factors will prompt the market to shift to mature processes. Due to SMIC's policy support, UMC and PSMC may face price competition pressure, and market challenges will intensify. News highlights: PSMC's net loss in 2024 will be 6.777 billion yuan, with a loss per share of 1.64 yuan, an increase from last year. The consolidated revenue in Q4 was 11.131 billion yuan, and the loss was 1.5 billion yuan, which was lower than that of the previous quarter. Chairman Huang Chonggren, who did not attend the conference due to attending the French presidential dinner, emphasized that Taiwan is valued in the field of AI. The company's capital expenditures fell to $477 million last year from $739 million last year. The wafer-on-wafer 3D stacking technology has been developed and adopted by major international manufacturers, and will become a profitable growth momentum in the next 1 to 2 years. News highlights: Jay Zhou and Kun Ling took their 3 children to play tennis at the Xinyi District Sports Center, and got together with artist friends, and then went to Daji to have dinner with Awei's family and enjoy parent-child time. Jay-Chu's fatherly spirit is exposed, skillfully holding his 2-year-old daughter Jacinda, showing the image of a good man at home. He juggles his family and career, and will be a guest at Mayday's Australian concert on the 22nd of this month. As for whether to train children to enter the sports world, the agency said that it would not ask the artist about private matters. News highlights: a gas explosion occurred in Taichung Xinguang Mitsukoshi on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 32 injuries, and the fire department preliminarily judged it to be a gas explosion. According to online conversations, the demolition team had reported that the gas pipe needed to be cut, and an explosion occurred after professionals intervened. Xinzong Natural Gas said that the gas meter had been removed and sealed on February 10, and it was preliminarily ruled out that it was related to natural gas. However, the construction workers had smelled gas, and the exact cause is yet to be investigated. Xinjiang Mitsukoshi did not apply to renovate the food street, and Taichung Mayor Liu Zioyan was furious, ordered an indefinite closure of business, and expected to impose a fine of at least 1 million yuan. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of full reciprocal tariffs will affect all countries that impose tariffs on U.S. goods, including Taiwan. President Li Qiang will convene a national security meeting to respond. The meeting will be attended by the President of the Executive Yuan, Mr. Chuk Wing-tai, the Secretary General of the National Security Council, Mr. Wu Zioxi, and other relevant heads of ministries. In response to the possible tariffs imposed by the United States on Taiwanese chips, Pan Mengan, Secretary General of the Presidential Office, said that the government will continue to pay attention to the U.S. policy and maintain close cooperation to strengthen Taiwan-US relations and face global challenges. News highlights: an air explosion occurred in Xinjiang Mitsukoshi in Taichung on the 13th, killing 4 people. Numerology Zhou Yingjun reminded in a January program that fire prevention should be paid attention to in 2025, especially in the central region. She mentioned that the fire will be held in the year of the year, and suggested that residents in the central part of the country should pay more attention to fire safety. This prophecy was once again discussed, with netizens calling it hair-shattering accuracy, but some pointed out that air explosions are different from fires, and fires occur every year. News highlights: today is Western Valentine's Day, the continental cold air mass is gradually weakening, and the temperature is rising briefly, but meteorological expert Lindeen reminds that thick clothes cannot be put away yet, because there will be new cold air southward on Sunday, 2/18. The intensity is between the continental cold air mass and the strong cold air mass, and the cooling is expected to be very felt. In the early morning of February 16th to 19th, temperatures will drop sharply in the north and northeast, and morning and evening temperatures will also become lower in other areas. Especially in the near mountains and coastal open areas, the temperature will drop by another 1 to 3 degrees, and it is expected that the cold air will weaken and the daytime temperature will gradually rise from the daytime on February 19th. News highlights: a gas explosion occurred at Taichung Xinjiang Mitsukoshi Zhonggang store on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 32 injuries. The preliminary research determined that the accident originated from the renovation work on the 12th floor. The police have questioned 20 people involved, and the prosecution has further re-examined 16 people, all of whom have been handled as witnesses. 2 of the injured workers said they were at the scene at the time of the explosion, but could not determine the cause. Prosecutors are still investigating the details of the incident and will clarify responsibility. News highlights: Sun Sheng, a member of YouTuber Anti-Bone Boy, was accused of sexual harassment by a woman he met in a nightclub in July 2024 when he slapped the other woman's buttocks and molested her. The Taipei District Court sentenced Sun Sheng to 5 months in prison and a fine for yike, which can be appealed. Afterwards, Sun Sheng made a film to cry out for injustice, and the internet celebrity heterochromatic file DK criticized him for dealing with it in a begging way, and strongly accused him of ignoring the verdict and pretending to be a victim. Sun Sheng's girlfriend Devine posted a message to protect love, accusing public opinion of not understanding the misunderstanding, and asking everyone to understand Sun Sheng's remorse, but it still aroused DK's dissatisfaction, accusing him of abusing self-media resources to smear victims. Sun Sheng finally apologized again, emphasizing that he would pay attention to his words and deeds to avoid repeating the crime. News highlights: the classic show Breaking Up Ring has been off the air for many years and is still missed by the audience, and Netflix recently released a comeback preview, but it is only for the promotion of the new drama Fairy Tale Episode 2, which makes fans happy. Producer Shen Yuan revealed that some TV stations and online platforms have explored the willingness to restart, but the case has not yet been finalized. He admitted that he was worried that it would be difficult to surpass the past classics. I am afraid of the thunder and rain, and if he returns, he is willing to serve as a producer or host, but will no longer take over the role of producer. News highlights: actress Kui Manley, who became popular because of The Legend of Zhen Huan in the Harem, recently blew herself up in the live broadcast that she had drunk driving and ran away, which caused public opinion. After investigation, the police in Zhejiang, China, confirmed that his remarks were false news, saying that he fabricated facts in order to gain attention and caused a bad social impact, and he has been administratively detained in accordance with the Public Security Administration punishment law. News highlights: actress S. Suzy Wan, died of influenza complicated by pneumonia on February 2, 2025 at the age of 48 while traveling in Japan. The family was deeply grieved, and her mother, Huang Chunmei, SS mother, said on Facebook, "I can't get justice back if I don't believe in justice. I want to go to the battlefield and cheer me on." The remarks were interpreted as a declaration of war against her ex-son-in-law Wang Xiaofei and her mother, Zhang Lan. Zhang Lan spoke out on other platforms and uploaded a video of a suspected trip to Japan, leaving a message: "If someone else wants to start a war, you have to prepare ammunition." It is considered to be a counterattack to SS mother's remarks. News highlights: Yu Zaiwei, who starred in the 8 o'clock file Taiwan Ah-Cheng, turned to producer and screenwriter after many years of retirement, and assisted the director's ex-husband Cai Yuexun in his work. The two divorced in 2020. In 2023, she underwent surgery for a 2.9 cm meningioma in her brain, and wrote a will before the operation, handing over the estate to her eldest daughter Cai Mufei to inherit. The doctor said that the brain tumor was pressing on the optic nerve, and the surgery had a 2 to 3% risk of blindness, which made her very afraid. Caiu Exun prayed for her on the mainland. At present, Yu Zaiwai has recovered smoothly and trusts her daughter to take care of her younger siblings and deal with the funeral arrangements. News highlights Taiwanese Golden Song Queen Cao Yuan today promoted the solo concert of Wangnan in Kaohsiung Weiying on April 12, revealing that due to the preparation of the performance and the past anorexia and gastroesophageal reflux, the weight dropped to 50 kilograms, but she has been actively treated and exercised to ensure that the concert can be perfectly presented. She will sing classic love songs and arrange surprise scenes to show the audio-visual feast. In addition, she admitted that she was harassed by crazy fans for more than a year, and the other party kept contacting relatives and friends, and the case has now been handed over to the law, but because the other party is a foreigner, the procedure is more tricky. News highlights the well-known host Mary, who hosted Youth Dian Dian and variety show 3 Kyoji, announced the good news of being proposed last night, 13th, on the eve of Western Valentine's Day. She posted a sweet photo with her other half of Joy on IG, and showed off the wedding ring on her ring finger, and wrote movingly, "Thank you, baby, for giving me so much beauty, I am very happy, I am willing." News highlights Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi had a gas explosion on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 32 injuries, and the 23-year-old female building manager surnamed Lin unfortunately died. The family bitterly criticized the department store for sending professionals to supervise the work, questioning the slow handling and the bad news only learned through the news. Lin Yu originally planned to leave her job and return home in March, but she was killed, and her boyfriend was grief-stricken. Shinkong Mitsukoshi responded that it deeply regretted the death of the employee and promised to properly handle the follow-up matters. The family asked the operator to clarify the cause of the accident as soon as possible to comfort the soul of the deceased. News highlights Kaohsiung orthopedic doctor Wu Mingfeng died suddenly at the age of 62. Last week, due to the cold snap of influenza, the first aid in the hospital was ineffective, and the family agreed to extubation, and the clinic will be closed. He was still alive when he attended the alumni reunion recently, but later suffered a heart attack aggravated by a respiratory infection caused by influenza. Wu Mingfeng used to be an attending physician in the Department of Orthopedics of Rena Hospital and the president of Kaohsiung Zhongzheng Spine Orthopedic Hospital, specializing in minimally invasive joint surgery and spine surgery. Colleagues in the medical field lamented that countless people have been saved, but good people have no good lives. News highlights U.S. President Donald Trump signed a memorandum today asking the Treasury Department and other agencies to develop a fair and reciprocal plan to deal with the unequal measures of trading partners towards the United States, and stressed the need to correct the imbalance in international trade. He once again mentioned the tariffs on chips, and criticized Taiwan for stealing the chip business of the United States, saying that the United States hopes that the semiconductor industry will bring production back to China, and said that the United States will be dissatisfied if it does not bring the business back. News highlights Tao Jingying posted a photo with her mentor Zhang Xiaoyan and friends Su Jiaying, Wei Rubjuan, Ariel Lin, Huang Jiaqian, and Su Jipei on Weibo on the night of the Lantern Festival, wishing everyone peace and health. In the photo, Zhang Xiaoyan is sitting in the C position, surrounded by the strongest fairy group in history, showing a beautiful temperament without makeup. Tao Jingying also recalled the last meeting with Big S, saying that it was still difficult to believe the news of Big S's passing, and lamented the impermanence of life, calling on everyone to cherish the people around them. News highlights Yu Hongming's 25-year-old eldest daughter Yu Yatong, who graduated from UCLA's Department of Mathematics and released her first album, recently revealed in a press conference that she is currently single and talked about her breakup with her third-generation boyfriend Yang Bohan. Yu Yatong said that although she has a stable relationship with Yang Bohan, she feels that she is incomplete and chooses to grow up alone and experience a life of solitude. She mentioned that the reasons for the breakup included the need for space and independence, and admitted that although she was in pain, it was the process of her growth. News highlights Apple will hold its spring conference on February 19th, and the market expects the protagonist to be the newly revised iPhone SE4. It will look like the iPhone 14, with a 6.1-inch OLED full screen, and Touch ID will be removed in favor of Face ID. The iPhone SE4 will feature an A18 chip, a 48-megapixel camera, and support for night mode, with the price expected to be between $499 and $549. In addition, Apple may launch the new iPad Air and M4 MacBook Air at the same time at the launch event, bringing more updates to the product line. News highlights on the way back to the team headquarters yesterday, the ambulance of the Liman Fire Detachment of the Taichung City Fire Department witnessed the scene of the gas explosion at the Shinkong Mitsukoshi Taichung Zhonggang store. At that time, the ambulance staff saw a large number of broken bricks, glass, steel frame building materials and other items scattered on the high-rise building, and issued foul words in horror, and immediately reported to the 119 service center. The video shows the ambulance crew quickly reporting the condition of the air explosion and saying that the scene was in serious condition, and then stopped to participate in the disaster relief operation. News highlights Wu Mingfeng, a well-known orthopedic doctor in Kaohsiung City and president of Taichung Zhongzheng Spine Orthopedic Hospital, was recently hospitalized due to sudden discomfort, and died the afternoon before yesterday at the age of 62 after the first aid was ineffective. Wu Mingfeng was an attending physician in the Department of Orthopedics at Rena Hospital in Taipei, specializing in minimally invasive joint reconstruction and spine surgery, and maintained a good relationship with the police community. He worked hard to save people for a long time, but unexpectedly due to overwork, his health deteriorated, and the news of his sudden death made the orthopedic community feel deep regret and mourning. News highlights the 39-year-old actor Zhang Rujia announced his marriage on Valentine's Day, married Huang Enruo, a highly educated actress who was 3 years older than him, and shared wedding photos. He said that the two have never given up for 13 years, and chose to start dating at this moment 6 years ago, and today is the day of their marriage registration. Huang Enruo is a member of the girl group Mars Bears, and also went to the United States to further her studies in drama. Although they had registered their marriage in 2019, due to the epidemic and busy work, it was not officially announced until this year, and the wedding was planned. News highlights an air explosion accident occurred at Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi department store today, resulting in 4 deaths and 20 injuries. A netizen shared that his friend was in the toilet at the time of the explosion, and the explosion caused the toilet to explode and even splashed feces on him. Afterwards, the netizen attached a photo of war-damaged pants, which sparked heated discussions among the villagers, describing this experience as a wonderful experience of and resurrection. News highlights: a netizen shared that he gave a tip to a delivery man for the first time but was refused, and the delivery man claimed to be worth 1.8 billion yuan and owned 6 houses, and emphasized that he was just out for a ride. The incident sparked heated discussions among netizens, and some questioned its authenticity, believing that it was extremely thrifty or a creative essay. Some netizens also reflected, if there is really so much property, how can the delivery man come out to work on a rainy day? Quite a few people see this incident as a practical lesson to the original Po and think about how to achieve such wealth. News highlights: mainland actor Gao Yang died of illness on the evening of February 11 at the age of 50, and has performed many dramas such as 2 Girls and 2 Soldiers and Station. His role as director Lu in Guo Jingfei in Station was well received by the audience. Gao Yang was born in 1975, his father is a famous actor Gao Ming, and his acting skills are well recognized. He and his father co-starred in Dog Stick and Peace Group, and created a profound role in the glorious era. News highlights: Dodge second-class superstar Shohei Ohtani has an endorsement income of $70 million, about NT $2.3 billion, becoming the 4th most active athlete endorsement income in the world. According to Sportico, Ohtani's total income is $72.5 million, about NT $2.375 billion, ranking first among baseball players and 21st among athletes in the world. His endorsement earnings surpass the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo and Tiger Woods, behind Curry, James, and Messi. News highlights: Su Kyoxin responded today to the Recall Group's request for Fei Hongda to be the leader, saying that Fei Hongda would not support the matter, and stressed that his character is well known. She said that Fei Hongda has publicly opposed a vicious recall, believing that legislators should be given 4 years to work hard, and does not agree with initiating a recall before the end of his term. Ms. Su also noted that the Recall Group used Mr. Fei's name to try to divide the KMT, but she was confident that supporters within the party would remain united. She stressed that if this is just a hot war, she is ready to take on a bigger challenge. News highlights: an air explosion accident occurred yesterday, 13th, in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi, killing 4 people and injuring at least 32 people. Among the victims was a 23-year-old female building manager surnamed Lin, who was sent to the hospital after the accident and still died. The family members of Ms. Lin were saddened by this, questioning why a young woman was assigned to supervise the work, and criticizing the department store for not informing the family in a timely manner by calling the hospital to let them know the news. Shinkong Mitsukoshi expressed regret over this and stressed that the cause of the accident will be investigated. Lin Nu had planned to leave her job next month, which is deplorable. News highlights: U.S. President Donald Trump's announcement of a reciprocal tariff policy will affect all countries that impose tariffs on U.S. goods, including Taiwan, and may have an impact on Taiwan U.S. trade and Taiwan's high-tech industry. In response to this situation, President Li Qiang will convene a high-level national security meeting this morning, 14th, to discuss countermeasures, which will be attended by important officials such as Zhou Rongta, the Executive Yuan, and Wu Zhaoxi, the Secretary General of the National Security Council. Taiwan will continue to work closely with the U.S. to address challenges and strengthen both sides' industrial interests. News highlights: an air explosion accident occurred in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring 37 people. Numerologist Zhou Yingjun predicted in January that Taiwan should pay special attention to the fire problem this year, and pointed out that the central region needs to pay special attention to fire safety. She analyzed that this year's Yesi Nianjin, the risk of fire is high, and reminded the people in the central part of the country to pay attention to fire prevention. After this incident, netizens responded one after another, thinking that Zhou Yingjun's prediction was amazing and accurate, and recalled her early warning of diseases such as influenza, and also mentioned other issues such as prevention of right and wrong, fraud, etc. News highlights: the recent sudden death of a number of China's top scientists has raised questions about whether it has anything to do with national security or technological development. Most of these scientists are involved in key fields such as drones, semiconductors, defense and space, and some of the deaths have been characterized as accidental or natural deaths, but there is still speculation that they may have been assassinated. For example, Tang Xiaoyu, the founder of SenseTime, and Feng Yanghe, an AI expert in the People's Liberation Army, have both passed away recently, adding to concerns about the security of China's technology and intellectual property. News highlights: U.S. President Trump ordered a review of the unequal measures taken by trading partners to the United States on the 13th, and once again proposed tariffs on chips, specifically naming Taiwan for stealing the U.S. chip business. He stressed that if semiconductor companies set up factories in the United States, there would be no taxes, and expressed the hope that chip production would return to the United States, expressing dissatisfaction with the failure of Taiwanese companies to bring back business, and accusing the United States, which once had a strong chip industry, of losing these businesses. News highlights: there has been a new development in the case of the 73-year-old man in Kaohsiung, who has been continuously mutilated, and the police have seized sharp knives and scissors with the victim's DNA, and have not ruled out other tools for committing the crime. It was reported that the suspect had a death notebook with his name recorded and marked 02073 times, which was suspected to be the time of the premeditated crime, but the police denied this statement. After the case, the brother of the suspect surnamed Zhang was found missing for 2 years and was later arrested in the former town of Kaohsiung. The suspect's brother revealed that he had lost contact with his brother for a long time, but he knew about his brother's crime and expected that he would be arrested. News highlights: a serious gas explosion occurred at the Shinkong Mitsukoshi Zhonggang store in Zhaitun district, Taichung City on the morning of the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring 38 people. The accident occurred during the renovation and demolition work on the 11th and 12th floors, and the explosion shook a wide range and was felt even by the Taichung City government office. According to Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare, 37 injured people have sought medical attention, of which 14 are hospitalized and 6 are in serious condition. The damage at the site was severe, with shards of glass and steel plates scattered all over the place, and the damage is under investigation. News highlights: according to the 2025 Global Healthcare Index released by the global database website Numbeo, Taiwan ranked first in the world with a score of 86.5, leading South Korea, Japan, Europe, and the United States for 7 consecutive years. The index ranks 97 countries based on 7 indicators, including technology, equipment, and accessibility of medical personnel. South Korea and Japan rank 2nd and 3rd, respectively. Among other countries, the Netherlands, Denmark, Austria, and other countries also make the top 10, while the United States ranks 38th, below China. News highlights. According to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Finance, Taiwan's tax revenue will reach 3.7619 trillion yuan in 2024, exceeding the budget by 528.3 billion yuan. The Kuomintang caucus proposed to distribute 10,000 yuan in cash to the whole people and launched an online poll, which showed that 79.5% of netizens supported the proposal. The poll also showed that 64% of netizens believe that cash should be paid first, while 31% support paying off debts first. In this regard, the Ministry of Finance said that the tax overlevy should be in line with the norms, and stressed that fiscal planning should focus on long-term development and avoid simple cash payments. News highlights. People's Party legislator Wu Chuncheng promoted the relevant bill of the Zhuang generation, but the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office has launched an investigation because of the dispute over the profit caused by the trademark application. Wu Chuncheng was also revealed that his family shuttled between the congressional office and the family business, involving the issue of interest avoidance. Chen Pu, Secretary General of the DPP Legislative Yuan Caucus, criticized Wu Chuncheng and his family for parasitic on the National Assembly, abusing the power of legislators, and causing harm to Taiwan's administrative organs. Zhang Yuman pointed out that Wu's office is closely linked to the family business, and questioned whether such a connection of interests is in line with the People's Party's principle of interest avoidance. News highlights. An air explosion accident occurred in Shinkong Mitsukoshi in Taichung City on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 37 injuries. When the accident occurred, a pair of nurses, Sunan and Guonu, immediately reached out to help the injured at the scene. Both of them worked in the Zhonghua Emergency Department, and when they heard the explosion, they immediately rushed to the scene to assist. Despite the apparent death of one of the women, they performed CPR and intravenous drips on the other victim and assisted in treating the wounds of the other injured until ambulance crews arrived. The couple's acts of kindness touched many passers-by and showed their professionalism and selflessness. News highlights. Since its opening in 1988 in East Lake Taipei, Wangjia Dumpling Restaurant has insisted on using large portions of dumplings and has become one of the most expensive dumpling restaurants in the region. 10 years ago, they were forced to start invoicing because they didn't issue invoices. Zhu Xiaoqin personally went to the IRS many times to intercede, and finally at the request of Miss Lan, an official of the IRS, an invoice was issued, which also solved their tax problems. Today, Wangjia Dumpling Restaurant still adheres to the classic taste and has become a historic store in the East Lake area. News highlights. An air explosion accident occurred in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring more than 30 people. The city government set up a secondary response center to investigate the cause of the incident, and Mayor Liu Zioyan instructed the closure of business indefinitely. Liu Zioyan mistakenly thought it was an earthquake at the beginning of the incident, but later learned that it was a gas explosion and instructed all units to provide emergency relief. The fire department and the city government responded quickly, and there were also vigilantes at the scene to assist in the rescue. The city stressed that political attacks should be avoided in times of grief and called for the results of the investigation to be revealed and the safety of citizens. News highlights. Media person Wu Zijia pointed out that So Kaihuai has a better chance of winning in the Democratic Progressive Party's 2026 New Taipei mayoral election, but according to the internal poll of Beautiful Island Electronic News, Li Sichuan's support is 47%, significantly ahead of So Kaihuai's 25%. He believed that if the Kuomintang sent Li Sichuan to fight, it would win alone. The People's Party's electoral capacity in New Taipei City does not seem to be enough to win a one-on-one election. In addition, Wu Zijia believes that the DPP's candidate So Kaihuai has performed weakly in the election campaign. News highlights. To S. Su Ziwan, unfortunately died of illness on the 2nd at the age of 48, and the dynamics of his former mother-in-law Zhang Lan attracted attention from the outside world. Although her Douyin account was banned, Zhang Lan uploaded a video on WeChat, suspected of taking a flight to Tokyo. Netizens speculated that she might be related to the cause of the SS death, and Zhang Lan responded, "If someone else wants to start a war, you have to prepare ammunition." In addition, Big SS mother Huang Chunmei also posted on the 13th to express her determination to seek justice for her daughter. News highlights. An air explosion occurred at 11:33 a.m. on the 13th, killing 4 and injuring 33. It was preliminarily determined to be a gas explosion, but a picture circulated on the internet showed that the demolition team had reported to Shinkong Mitsukoshi after discovering that the modification might involve a gas pipeline, and received a response that there would be a special person to deal with it. After the incident, the gas explosion was suspected to be related to natural gas, but Zinsong Natural Gas Company denied it, pointing out that the gas meter dismantling and pipeline closure had been completed on February 10. Witnesses said they had smelled gas before the incident, and the cause has not yet been determined. The city government decided to suspend business and impose a penalty of at least 1 million yuan on Shinkong Mitsukoshi for failing to apply for a modification permit. News highlights. Sinosteel, 2002, opened higher in March, driving steel stocks to rise strongly, and the steel remuneration index rose more than 3.3% in early trading. Sinosteel, Yexing, 2007, China Steel Structure, 2013, rose by more than 5%, some stocks such as Zhonghong, 2014, and Heiguang, 2038, rose by more than 7%, and Xinggong, 2032, and Yunqiang, 2034, rose by more than the limit. Sinosteel said that the global economy is stable, and the global growth rate is expected to reach 3.3% in 2025, but due to the impact of Trump's tariff policy, steel demand is still stable, and actively assists users to win orders. News highlights. TSMC recently announced after the U.S. Board of Directors that it will accelerate its expansion plan in Arizona, with the third factory starting in mid-2024, and plans to start trial production in 2027 and mass production in 2028. In addition, TSMC is also considering setting up a CoWoS advanced packaging factory and is in discussions with ECL and ASE Group. The program will further promote the global deployment of advanced manufacturing processes. News highlights Trump announced on the 13th that he would impose reciprocal tariffs, requiring other countries to tax them at the same rate as the United States, and consider treating VAT as a tariff. In addition, he proposed a trilateral summit between the United States, China, and Russia, and accused Taiwan of stealing the chip business from the United States, demanding that the business be brought back to the United States. He also expressed hope that Russia will return to the G7, India will buy American energy, and trade restrictions will be imposed on the BRICS countries. News highlights Apple's first launch event of the year will be held on February 19th, and Apple CEO Tim Cook confirmed the news on the X platform, with a metallic Apple logo animation, hinting that the new product may be innovative in materials. New products expected to be launched include the iPhone SE 4 with a USB-C connector, the iPad 11 with an upgraded A17 Pro chip, the MacBook Air with the M4 chip, the iPad Air with the M3 version, and possibly even the HomePod with a screen. News highlights a serious gas explosion occurred in Shinkong Mitsukoshi in Taichung on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring more than 30 people. The online video shows that after the incident, enthusiastic people administered CPR first aid, but the on-site emergency personnel said this is a direct black card, this does not need to be saved, which caused heated discussions among netizens. According to the emergency management course of the Tri-Services General Hospital, when a large number of wounded people appear, they are classified according to priority, and those who are in cardiac arrest are classified as the least priority for treatment, and they are considered dead. This approach is designed to maximize the use of limited resources to treat more patients. News highlights actress DS, Suzy Won, unfortunately passed away due to influenza complicated by pneumonia on the 2nd of this month at the age of 48, and inheritance and family disputes have become the focus. Big SS mother Wang Chunmi posted I want to go to the battlefield on the 13th, suspected of declaring war on Wang Xiaofei's family. Former mother-in-law Zhang Lan also responded to netizens' questions about the cause of DS's death on social platforms, and said, if others want to start a war, you have to prepare ammunition, with fierce rhetoric in opposition to the S family. News highlights a gas explosion occurred at Shinkong Mitsukoshi Zhonggang store on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring 33 others. It was preliminarily determined that it was a gas explosion, but the suspicion sparked discussion, and netizens pointed out that there was no fire or scorch traces at the scene, and it was suspected that it might be an air compressor explosion. Shinkong Mitsukoshi had carried out gas pipeline cutting operations, but Zinsong Natural Gas Company said that it had already removed the gas meter and closed the pipeline, and there was no gas leakage. Taichung Mayor Liu Ziyuan has ordered the closure of business and is expected to be fined 1 million yuan. The cause of the accident still needs to be investigated. News highlights Paparo, commander of the U.S. Indo-Pacific Command, said at the Honolulu Defense Forum in Hawaii that China's military exercises around Taiwan are no longer simple exercises, but rehearsals for possible attacks on Taiwan. He warned that increased cooperation between China, Russia, and North Korea would create an emerging axis of authoritarianism and could exacerbate regional tensions. Paparo pointed out that the U.S. military is facing a shortage of weapons arsenals and stressed the need to accelerate the deployment of unmanned systems and artificial intelligence to improve early warning capabilities to respond to potential conflicts in the Taiwan Strait. News highlights an air explosion occurred in Shinkong Mitsukoshi in Taichung on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring 37 others, including tourists from Macau. Some supporters of the Green Camp made radical remarks, accusing Blue and White of cutting the budget for the failure of fire trucks to refuel and linking the dead to Chinese. The People's Party called on Huang Qiuqing to criticize this cold-blooded political work and stressed that politics should have basic human nature. He called for the cause of the explosion to be identified, accountability, and a review of the adequacy of existing laws and regulations to curb similar tragedies. News highlights on the evening of February 13th, the Taipei City Police launched a 10-day anti-crime project, mobilizing 622 police officers to conduct large-scale raids on hotels operated or attached to gangs. The operation mainly targeted the farewell ceremony of the former gang leader of the Bamboo Union Gang, surnamed Mo Dong, and related venues, and the police will prevent the gang from mobilizing minors to participate in violent activities. Taipei City Police Chief Li Zai stressed that he will strictly investigate criminal acts related to gangsters, and declared his determination to sweep away the underworld and devote himself to maintaining social order and public safety. News highlights a pregnant woman in Shanghai suddenly felt something moving in her abdomen during a cesarean section, and after examination, it was found that there was a third child that had not been discovered. The surgical team was surprised that the ultrasound did not show 3 fetuses, and finally the 3 babies were born safely. The family was pleasantly surprised and moved, and while welcoming the 3 newborns was a challenge, the unexpected miracle became their most precious gift. News highlights after the Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi gas explosion accident, the police interviewed 20 people, including engineering workers, department store managers and gas operators, and clarified the incident. Some of the engineering staff said that they only supported one day that day, and stressed that the accident had nothing to do with their demolition work. The family members of the injured engineers revealed that it was difficult to determine the root cause of the accident due to the large number of on-site shifts and different projects in charge. After a nighttime interrogation, the police did not disclose the details of the case and stressed that they would continue to investigate the truth. News highlights President Li King convened a high-level meeting on national security today and proposed 3 major tasks for the new year. 1. Prepare a special budget to ensure that the defense budget reaches 3% of GDP. 2. Promote the reform of the national security legal system and strengthen the prevention and control of the United Front. 3. Promote the economic and trade strategy of based on Taiwan, global layout, and cooperate with friendly countries to build a global democratic supply chain. He stressed that in the midst of change, Taiwan will strengthen its self-defense, deepen cooperation with democracies, and consolidate Taiwan's key position in the global supply chain. News highlights an air explosion accident occurred yesterday, 13th, in Shinkong Mitsukoshi, Taichung City, causing a family of 7 to be hit by building debris, including a 2-year-old girl from Macau with a severe head injury. In the accident, the girl's grandfather and grandmother were unfortunately killed, while her parents, uncle, and Azu were slightly injured. The girl's condition is currently stable, with the next 3 days being a critical observation period. News highlights senior paparazzi Ge Saiki recently shared an 11 o'clock hot shop that he once followed a well-known female anchor in the era of Lao San Channel, originally because she heard about her marriage crisis, but accidentally photographed her having an indecent behavior with a TV station executive in the car. Ge Suki described that when he followed the female anchor to park, he found that there was a man in the passenger seat and photographed the vibration in the car. Although the newspaper was ready to report on it, in the end, due to a phone call, the news was withdrawn and left unpublished. News highlights: an air explosion accident occurred in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi, resulting in 4 deaths and 33 injuries. Screenshots of conversations circulating online show an explosion while the demolition team was cutting the gas pipe. In response, Zinsong Natural Gas Company responded that after the accident, the inspection results showed that the pipeline was intact and no traces of gas leakage or combustion were found, so it believed that the incident was not directly related to natural gas. Witnesses at the scene said that they smelled gas before the incident, and the cause is still under investigation. The Taichung city government has ordered Shinkong Mitsukoshi to close operations in the area and will face fines. News highlights: J-Jo recently celebrated breaking 10 million followers on IG and revealed that the new album will be released in August and September. He shared a story about his continuous efforts to create, and said that some songs have been recorded for the new album because of the tight concert schedule and free time recording. Fans are eagerly awaiting, speculating that the album will be released in the summer, which will be his new album after the greatest work in 3 years. Jo Dong also revealed that if there is a new singing plan, it will be announced again. News highlights: an air explosion occurred in Taichung Shinkong Mitsukoshi on the 13th, killing 4 people and injuring 34 others. The 2 victims, a 23-year-old female building manager surnamed Lin and a 33-year-old male building manager surnamed Chen, were carrying out routine inspections rather than supervising the construction. The family of Lin New mourned that the 23-year-old girl should not be in charge of supervising the work, and after the accident, Shinkong Mitsukoshi did not take the initiative to contact the family. Shinkong Mitsukoshi responded that the 2 were responsible for floor inspections, not project supervisors, and were deeply saddened by their unfortunate deaths. News highlights: on Valentine's Day, mainland paparazzi Zhang Xiaohan announced that he would announce a pair of post-95 popular CP come true, which aroused speculation among netizens. According to the preview, this pair of CPS is not a popular combination such as Wang Hedi and Yu Shuxin, or Wu Lei and Zhao Lucy. Many netizens speculated that it may be other candidates such as Li Yunrui and Meng Ziai, Ding Yuxi and Yu Shuxin, but some questioned whether the revelation would attract as much attention as expected, or whether the result would not be as expected. News highlights: a gas explosion occurred at Shinkong Mitsukoshi Taichung Zhonggang store on the 13th, resulting in 4 deaths and 31 injuries. Although the cause of the explosion is still under investigation, some analysts believe that the failure of the air conditioning unit may have caused the explosion, similar to the 2019 business explosion in Qinhuangdao, Hebei province, which was caused by the failure of the air conditioning compressor. Air conditioning compressors can cause liquid shock at very low temperatures, which can lead to explosions. Experts recommend investigating the condition of the air conditioning unit to avoid similar accidents. News highlights: Super Junior will celebrate the 20th anniversary of their debut, and member Donghae will also hold a solo fan concert East Coast Wave at the Darwin Convention Center on April 26. The concert was well received in Japan, and the Taiwan leg became the focus of fans' expectations. Donghae especially announced the good news of coming to Taiwan on Valentine's Day, and said that he would try his best to meet fans within his ability. Super Junior's emphasis on Taiwanese fans is also reflected in their many visits to Taiwan, showing their love and support for Taiwan. News highlights: Kanye West, the king of American rap, and his wife Bianca Censori recently broke the news that they will divorce, and both parties have hired a divorce lawyer. Previously, the couple's out-of-order behavior on the red carpet of the Grammy Awards sparked controversy, and Bianca suddenly stripped naked and became the focus. However, the duo's agents denied the divorce rumors and said that the news was unfounded and that all news about their private lives would be announced by themselves. Since getting married in 2023, the two have repeatedly been in the media spotlight. News highlights: YouTuber Anti-Bone Boy member Sun Sheng was sentenced to May in prison for being accused of slapping his buttocks and flirting with his sister last year, and his girlfriend Dove posted a post today to speak for him. However, millions of internet celebrities DK left a message under the post, making 3 major accusations against Sun Sheng, emphasizing that his actions should be regarded as sexual harassment and there is no excuse to defend him. DK pointed out that Sun Sheng had already shown a defensive reaction when he touched the woman's buttocks during the incident, and the other party was obviously displeased, indicating that there was no ambiguity at the time. Finally, DK criticized Sun Sheng and his team for trying to use self-media to whitewash their image, which is unfair to the victims.